Okay, this is going to be a part 2 video response. Okay, now as to the Iraqi sanctions, I will agree with you to an extent in that I would have not have liked to see those sanctions imposed on the Iraqi people, as I supported Saddam's overthrow back in 1991 when we should have backed the Shia uprisings against the Tikriti Ba'athist elite. However, what happened happened, and you can't put all the blame on the US and the UK, because we continued to give Saddam food and aid under the Oil for Food program. But he used this food and aid to his own devices and built himself lavish palaces while the masses starved, and did other unconscionable things like allowing basic services to go into disrepair and offline in Shia and Turkish and Kurdish regions in order to punish them for the 1991 uprisings. As to the U.S. supports for Saddam, first of all, we did not install Saddam. That's a conspiracy theory with no basis in fact. Um, uh, and our support for him was minimal at best. We sold him approximately 0.5% of his conventional weapons between 1972 and 1990. The vast majority of his weapons came from the Soviet Union, France, and China. We did sell him dual-use materials, but none of our chemicals made it into Saddam's WMD programs, as proven by the UN disclosures on the WMD programs. Furthermore, we did sell him biological agents, but the dirty little secret is that these items are easily available and require little more than placing a mail order from the right people. We did not give him the technology or the expertise necessary to convert these legal and benign chemical and biological agents into legal and lethal WMD. Now you say the Muslims didn't support the Iraq. Furthermore, there is the question of loans, but into that regard, those loans were supplied by an Italian bank with a branch in the United States. Those loans were the only federally backed loans given to Iraq, and they were illegal. The person responsible for those illegal loans to Iraq has since been arrested. And what's more, that we probably supplied about a comparable amount of support to the Iranians through the Iran-Contra affair. All right. Okay. Now you say that the Muslims didn't support the Iraqi war. Dog, stop it. Didn't stop it. Now you say that Muslims didn't support the Iraqi war against Iran. Sir, that is entirely fallacious. The Sunni rulers of your nations, fearing the spread of the Shia extremist revolution into their realms, did back Saddam in his illegal war of aggression against Iran, much more so than the US or the UK combined. Now, I will agree with you on your point regarding U.S. support for authoritarian regimes. That is true. We have backed some dictators in the Muslim world, and I will agree that democratization is the only real solution to the problem of radical Islam, and that the people must be afforded their natural right to change their social and political conditions through peaceful means, or they will be driven to radicalism and violence. But I would argue that many of these authoritarian regimes were previously on the path to liberalism. Yet their authoritarianism kicked in as a response to the rising popularity of Islamism, i.e., the political parties such as the Muslim Brotherhood, who demanded one man, one vote, but only once, after which they intended to institute puritanical Sharia law as the governing authority and do away with the democratic system that brought them to power altogether. It is my firm belief that only political parties which support the continuance of the liberal and pluralistic democratic system can be allowed to obtain power. I cannot support political parties that demand one man, one vote, but only once, as is the majority of the Islamist political parties. One final point, if I may, and that is in regards to your figures on the casualties in the Iraq War. While true that the death tolls have been great, I challenge your figures, as the Lancet survey on which you appear to base them, on are Fox figures, and that survey has been thoroughly disproven and discredited. Furthermore, even if we grant that those phony numbers are accurate, who is it that has committed the most of the violence in Iraq? It is not the coalition forces. It is in fact the Islamist foreign and domestic insurgency who intentionally target civilian men, women, and children as their tactic of choice. Not only that, but in the same speech you condemn Saddam, yet you also seem to condemn his overthrow. You say that the U.S. should stop supporting tyrants, yet you seem to be opposed with the U.S. granting the people of Iraq their natural rights to self-determination. Then you go on to say that what you really want is for the U.S. to cease interfering in the Middle East altogether. Well, I'm sorry, sir, that is a demand that we cannot acquiesce to at the moment, as that is the demand placed upon us by the Islamists, who seek the U.S. to be driven out because we are the impediment to their plans of pan-Islamism and the restoration of the caliphate under their twisted view of puritanical Sharia law, as denoted by the likes of the apostate death cult of Wahhab and the heretics Sayyid Qutb, Albania, and the Grand Mufti of Jerusalem. Yes, I've read Milestones, and I understand Qutb's interpretation of Jahiliyyah, and I know that the final plan does not end in the Middle East. It only begins there. Thank you.